The dream is dead, not with a bang, but with a slow, agonizing unraveling. What once stood as Kody Brown's grand vision, a sprawling polygamist paradise on Coyote Pass, now feels like a crime scene. Not of violence, but of betrayal, of broken promises, of emotional neglect so deep it left scars no piece of Arizona land could ever heal. In the shadow of Garrison's devastating death, a quiet reckoning has begun. Not in a courtroom, not with lawyers or subpoenas, but on national television, under the harsh lights of reality TV and the raw truth of grief. Janelle is no longer willing to stay quiet. Meri is no longer willing to be sidelined. And Kody? He's facing something far more terrifying than legal charges. Accountability. The camera doesn't lie, and lately it's captured something chilling. The wives, what remains of them, are no longer afraid. They are naming what they endured. Financial betrayal, abandonment, years of spiritual gaslighting dressed up as patriarchal duty. And now, in the wake of Garrison's passing, there's no going back. The dam has broken. This isn't some fan-made courtroom fantasy. This is real. It's a metaphorical trial playing out before our eyes. One where Janelle stares down the man who failed her sons, and Meri silently indicts a husband who never truly claimed her. There's no jury, no bailiff, just cameras, confessionals, and a nation watching as the truth spills out like years of suppressed sorrow. Welcome to TLC's Sister Wives Secrets. I'm Oliviera, and today we're diving into the emotional fallout of a family unraveling. If you thought the drama ended when Christine left, think again. What's happening now is deeper, darker, and far more honest than any of us were prepared for. Drop a comment below if you felt the shift, if you've watched Kody's control evaporate episode by episode, and if you're ready for more truth, more heartbreak, and more behind-the-scenes revelations. Don't forget to subscribe. Because the secrets, they're not done spilling. Let's talk about the part no one really wants to admit out loud. Kody Brown didn't just lose his wives. He lost their trust, their loyalty, and most damning of all, their belief that he was ever acting in good faith. Because behind the reality show's romanticized notion of plural marriage was something far more sinister. Control disguised as covenant and abuse masquerading as leadership. The cracks were always there, but we didn't see how deep they ran until the money came up. And isn't that always the tell? When the funds dry up, when the land never gets built, when the women start realizing that they're making sacrifices so Robyn can live in a $2 million mansion with a full-time nanny while they're parked in RVs and renting cramped apartments, the illusion shatters. Janelle was the first to pull the thread. Always pragmatic, always the one figuring out how to stretch $1 to feed 7 kids, Janelle once believed Kody's promises, that their sacrifices would pay off, that one day they'd all live together on Coyote Pass in a multifamily compound built on unity. Instead, she found herself scraping by while Kody funneled family money into Robyn's name, Robyn's house, Robyn's dream. And when Janelle confronted him, he gaslit her, told her she was being emotional, that she didn't understand the bigger picture, that her independence, her refusal to be needy and submissive like Robyn, was the real problem. Let's call that what it is: emotional abuse. The kind that doesn't leave bruises but leaves women doubting their worth for years. And Meri? Her story is even sadder. She gave up everything, her identity, her voice, her self-respect, to be Kody's obedient first wife. And what did she get in return? Years of emotional neglect, humiliation on camera, and a man who barely spoke her name unless it was to express disappointment. Kody didn't just abandon Meri, he erased her. And he did it while continuing to use her name to justify the illusion of unity. It's no accident that Robyn never lacked resources. While Christine was raising 6 children and Janelle was trying to figure out where to live, Robyn had access to shared funds and private comforts. And it wasn't just about favoritism, it was about power. Financial control is one of the oldest tools of coercion, and Kody wielded it masterfully. He created an economic system where Robyn thrived and the other wives withered. And when they pushed back, he acted shocked, offended, as if their exhaustion was betrayal. But the truth? He betrayed them first. We saw Janelle reach her breaking point when she discovered that Coyote Pass, this mythical dreamland wasn't equally divided, that the assets, the investments, the LLCs and deeds were never about equality. They were about control, keeping the women close enough to obey, but never free enough to walk away without a fight. And when Janelle stood up to him, she was met with cold dismissal. The same coldness we saw in that now infamous fight where she told him to leave and he exploded with rage. Because that's what happens when patriarchs are confronted by the women they've spent years trying to keep small. This is not just a family breakdown. This is a textbook case study in how patriarchy implodes when women refuse to play along. Kody used religion as a shield. He hid behind spiritual leadership. But the leadership was never spiritual. It was transactional, based on loyalty, submission, and silence. And the second that loyalty wavered, Kody withdrew everything: his affection, his support, and yes, his money. What we're watching now, on screen and off, is a symbolic trial, not in court, but in public opinion. And every viewer who's watched Janelle cry, who's seen Meri sit in silent pain, who watched Christine walk away with her head held high, they're the jury, and the verdict is already in. Kody's era is over. This is what happens when the fantasy of patriarchy meets the emotional truth of women who've had enough. And through all of it, the grief of losing Garrison casts a long shadow, because that tragedy revealed the consequences of emotional abandonment in the most painful, irreversible way. Kody wasn't there for his children, not in the way they needed, and no amount of reruns or excuses will erase that. The wives aren't just mourning a son or a dream, they're mourning what they thought they were building, and now they're reckoning with the truth. Kody Brown didn't just fail them, he failed the family. And now the women are rewriting the rules. If Janelle and Meri's exits were quiet revolutions, then Robyn's survival was a mirage, the last remnant of a crumbling empire built on selective loyalty and curated submission. Let's talk about the woman who stayed, the one who cried through every season, who claimed she just wanted sisterhood and peace, even as she benefited from every chaotic fracture in the family. Robyn Brown didn't burn down the house, but she certainly made herself comfortable in the ashes, because while the other wives struggled, Robyn ascended. She was handed the legal marriage, the dream home, the full-time nanny, the access, the funds, the favored bed, all while insisting she never asked for any of it. But that's the thing about manipulation. It doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it whispers in tears and shrugs in denial. This is where the trad wife illusion begins to crack. You see, Robyn played the role perfectly. The soft-spoken, spiritually obedient, stay-at-home wife who made Kody feel like a king. She never questioned his leadership, at least not on camera. She deferred, submitted, praised, and pleaded. She weaponized fragility in a system that rewarded emotional compliance. And it worked. For over a decade, Robyn was held up as the good wife, the example. Christine was too independent, Janelle was too practical, Meri was too bitter. But Robyn stayed sweet. And so, she was spared. Spared from poverty, spared from blame, spared from the spiritual exile the other women eventually chose for themselves. But here's the haunting question no one on the show ever quite asks out loud. What did Robyn trade for that protection? Because the gilded cage is still a cage. And when the other wives walked away, Robyn was left with the man behind the curtain, no longer the patriarch, no longer the beloved center of a plural family, just a middle-aged man spiraling into delusion and rage while the cameras kept rolling. And now, Robyn looks terrified. She cries in nearly every scene, not tears of injustice this time, but of isolation, of a woman who clung to the system only to find herself alone in it. This is the paradox of the trad wife model. It promises protection in exchange for submission. But when the system fails, when the provider loses his power, when the image crumbles, what's left? A mansion filled with silence. Children who watched their siblings walk away. A husband who's not leading anymore, he's lashing out. And Robyn, she's trapped in the very dream she fought so hard to preserve. Because here's what the show never really explained. Robyn didn't just join the Brown family. She reset it. From the moment she entered, the dynamic shifted. Kody had something new, something compliant, something that made him feel worshipped again. And the others, who had been partners, co-mothers, co-survivors, were suddenly in the way. What followed wasn't just favoritism, it was a dismantling. Kody stopped dividing his time equally. He stopped investing in Coyote Pass as a shared dream. He stopped showing up emotionally for his older children. He centralized his life around Robyn. And the others? They were left to wonder if they ever truly mattered. That's the house Robyn built. Not out of malice, but out of complicity. And now that house is starting to rot. Because even Robyn, for all her loyalty, cannot deny the truth anymore. Kody is unraveling. He's no longer even pretending to be the wise father figure. He's bitter, blaming, detached, and worst of all, he's publicly rejected the very family he once claimed was God's command. And Robyn? She's watching it all fall apart. She says she doesn't understand how it came to this. But we do. We saw her choose silence when she could have stood up. We saw her accept privilege without questioning its cost. We saw her benefit from a hierarchy built on other women's suffering. And now, she's queen of the ruins. There's something deeply haunting about the way Robyn still talks about the dream, the shared porch, the family reunification, the hope that one day Christine, Meri, and Janelle will all come back. But that's not hope. That's delusion. Because the women have tasted freedom now. They've built new lives. They've reclaimed their identities. They've stopped waiting for Kody's approval to feel whole. And Robyn? She's still sitting on the porch of that dream house, waiting for ghosts to return. So no, this isn't just a sad ending. It's a reckoning. Because Robyn was never just the youngest wife. She was the final pillar in a collapsing structure. And now that the other wives have walked away, we see that she wasn't holding it up. She was keeping it from crumbling too soon. But the collapse was inevitable. And now, Robyn is left in the dollhouse, furnished with everything she thought she wanted, but emptied of the sisterhood and unity she claimed to value. A hollow victory, a gilded prison, a woman crying in silence while the world finally sees the truth. If Christine, Janelle, and Meri escaped the wreckage, Robyn stayed behind to decorate it. And now she's the last wife standing, not in triumph, but in eerie, echoing silence. For years, Robyn perfected the role of the obedient trad wife, soft-spoken, ever-devoted, teary-eyed. She didn't demand power outright. She received it by default. The legal marriage, the mansion, the full-time nanny, the lion's share of Kody's time, all while claiming she never wanted special treatment. But that's the thing. In a system like this, obedience is rewarded, not questioned. Robyn didn't tear the family apart with malice. She did it by letting Kody crown her queen while the others were still building the kingdom. When Christine rebelled, when Janelle stood her ground, when Meri grieved alone, Robyn stayed sweet. And in staying sweet, she stayed safe. Now, that safety has become a prison. Because the patriarch she protected, he's unraveling, and the wives she once hoped would return, they've found freedom. Robyn cries now, not out of joy, not even out of guilt, but out of isolation. The house she built with Kody is full of furniture and empty of family. She once wanted a porch where the sister wives could gather again, but that porch is just a symbol now of a dream that's died. Robyn didn't break the family alone, but she watched it break and benefited from every crack. And now she's left with the man, the house, the title, but none of the love. In the end, Sister Wives was never just about polygamy. It was about people chasing a dream of eternal family, of unconditional love, of spiritual purpose. But dreams, when built on silence and sacrifice, eventually crack. And when they do, what's left behind is the truth we've been trying not to see. Janelle, Meri, and Christine spent years giving their lives to a system that promised everything and gave them crumbs. And when they finally spoke up, when the silence was broken, it wasn't just reality TV drama. It was a reckoning. Robyn may still be holding on, trying to protect the fantasy. But what happens when even she can no longer pretend that love built on control is love at all? And Kody, he didn't just lose his wives. He lost the illusion that he could be the center of a world that no longer revolved around him. So now, we turn to you. Do you think Robyn ever truly saw the truth? Was there ever a chance for real healing? Or was the dream always doomed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if this hit you in the heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to TLC's Sister Wives Secrets. We're not done digging yet. In the next episode, we'll look deeper into how TLC shaped and maybe protected Kody's public image, even as it all unraveled behind the scenes.